Hello, everybody. This is Captain Jack. I am one of the MindCrafters, and this is the final episode of my Let's Build a Nuclear Power Plant tutorial series. If you haven't watched the other episodes, um, all as they basically do is show me building this thing from the ground up. And this is going to be the final product of all of the work that's gone into this facility so far. So let's go back kind of to episode 1 and remember why we built this reactor in the first place. I wanted to build a nuclear reactor that ran and automated itself. Um, that would be a practical application if you were to build it on a survival world, um, and a reactor that provided excess power above and beyond what it actually needed to run itself, which is really the reason why it's practical. If all of the power generated by the reactor went back into it, then there would be no point in making it. But we've set out to create a reactor that had excess power that could be used elsewhere in a base or complex that you had on your world. And we've been successful in that journey. This reactor is fully automated. It crafts all of its own components that it needs, starting from uranium all the way up to quad cells. It will make all of its own materials needed for all of the components inside the reactor. It runs its own recycling system. It runs all its furnaces, macerators, compressors, what have you, you name it. It runs everything itself, and it still has extra power that you can use elsewhere. I have tried to take all of the ideas that people have submitted throughout the episodes that I could and add them in for this final version. A lot of people asked for a few things in particular that I did add into this setup, and along with all of the other stuff, I gave it a complete aesthetic overhaul. And those of you that did request for me to do this on camera, I'm sorry. It was kind of a process that just happened over the course of, it was a while actually. If you note the time between episode releases, I kind of just added onto this thing and made it look as good as I wanted it to look. It might not look good to everybody, but it looks good to me, so I'm satisfied with it. And yeah, I think that's it. So in this episode, we'll take a look at the final product, and we'll flip it on, and we'll have it complete a full cycle and restart on its maiden voyage. All right, so let's us take a look. Here it is. Those of you that have seen previous versions of this reactor will note that it already looks, oh, that's not happening. It already looks very much, very different. The beacon was something that somebody had requested, as well as some other things. So let's do a quick flyover, and then we'll take a look at what's inside. We'll turn it on, and we'll keep you poised. A lot of changes, big changes, as you can see. I wasn't happy that the lights on the outside were so dominant, so I added some micro blocks to tone them down a little bit. Beacon comes off the center there. You can get a closer look at some of the things happening inside of here. Sorry, it's a little jumpy. Okay. Got some cool stuff going on here. Everything, if you don't know about microblocks, every corner is a microblock. These are all microblocks, and there's microblocks. Oh, there's one missing there. Let me fix that so fish doesn't get blamed. Every microblock had to be carefully placed. You can barely see these, but they're all there, kind of adding contrast to the lights. Some just minor things, some strips going on the outside to hide more of the wood. Wooden look. Microblocks up the edge. We got inside here, the remote power core is hidden inside this tower along with the beacon. Cool use of microblocks here. Okay, so this is it. Started off as kind of a hungry hippo, ended as almost looks like a spaceship almost. Still maybe a little bit of a hungry hippo, but that's okay. Um, looks pretty cool to me anyways, so now let's take a look inside. Alright, big overhaul here as well. As you can see, floor has been redone with micro blocks. A lot of the stuff you see here is exactly the same, just again touched up a little bit. Micro blocks here to tone down the excessive lighting that was coming off the walls. Some cool stuff in here. You can see this is a block and this is a block, so these are all micro blocks inside of here to make that effect. Walkways added here and here. Again, this just tones down these inverted lights a little bit to make them easier to see. We got our extruder towers. Not really much has changed in there. Some changes in here. And while we're here, you'll notice on the left up here, the total UU matter generated by this facility so far is 1,855, which is significantly higher than I originally had thought. The facility only takes roughly 500 to run a full cycle, so we have 1,300 extra. Not bad. 1,300 extra UU matter. That'd be a lot more impressive in Feed the Beast, but it is what it is. Anyways, so yeah, so more micro blocks here. Change the power setup. We got power lines going through the floor there from this MFE or MFSU. We got our breeder reactor here. These setups haven't really changed at all. Again, I've just mostly added aesthetic stuff to this business. We have our breeder, which is one of the other changes that I made. I changed it to a 380 EU per tick breeder. That 35 up there indicates the fill percentage of the MFSU that's providing power for all of the machines down below. This addition up here, which is actually, I was going to do this and somebody requested it in one of the comments, so thank you for that. I did add the power output up top there, and that will indicate the amount of power that's leaving the station remotely to power other things. This block is down because I have this monitor set to off, so we won't be able to see that. Let's take a look at inside the breeder real quick, just so I can show you what I did inside here. I basically just added a quad cell and an LZH condensator inside the breeder setup here, and that gave me a lot more for just one cell. So I went from 240 to 380, and the reason behind that is in the basement. This is mainly all the same. Nothing has really changed here. The reactor is about to complete a cycle, and we're going to see that momentarily. Floor here. This is kind of something interesting to note. The floor here you see has that pattern, but the floor below it has no pattern. So another use of micro blocks there. Can split the floor in half. Down here, this is where I made probably the most significant changes. If you'll notice, I added 4 more recyclers. Each, they almost all have 6 overclockers. I actually changed a few of these to 7, and that gave me the perfect balance between power loss and scrap generation. So if I check inside the MFSU at the end, I'm never losing power unless the system is recharging itself. So I wanted to make the maximum amount of scrap possible. The deep storage unit, which was the most heavily requested item in the comments here, I got 187,000. Everything is going into the deep storage unit, which eliminated the need for the redstone signal to the transposers up there. So that was eliminated, that was up here, I think. Now all I have is the recycler power, and this is a dart cable right here, which will cut off the 2 sides, which will save a lot of power. And the red light comes on if the recyclers are off. You see they're not filling up anymore, so that will stop the recycling process and it will save me a lot of energy. Actually, if you check up here, you can probably see that in action pretty good. 35, that should start ticking upward. 36, there we go. That's going to start going up significantly faster because the breeder really has nothing to do. So that was one of the advantages of this switch here. So that's small change. The level emitter, setting the system to shut off the transposers if we had greater than 150,000 cobblestone in the system, have been removed because of the deep storage unit. There's no need for something like that, and I have a storage bus slapped on the bottom of the DSU. Okay, so that's basically what's going on down here. The reason I had to add the other scrap or the other recyclers was because the scrap box production was not quite keeping up with how fast the mass fabricator was using them. And to be perfectly honest with you, I haven't tested to see if the addition of 4 more has negated or is able to keep up with that. So you're going to have to watch out for that. That could present a problem with UU generation if you're removing it from the system. Down here, this is obviously a massive change. This was kind of just a little hole first. Basically, I just added aesthetic stuff to it. Some micro blocks here, pretty simple stuff, scaffolding, some inverted lamps behind iron bars. Kind of a pillar system like you saw in our Mark III walkthrough of our base. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's on our channel. It's 9 times more awesome than anything you see here. Oh, are you kidding me? So yeah, this is the basement, just basically a little bit more open. We have our power core coming down through here. We have the glass fiber cable coming from the MFSU down through here. That's covered up using a neat trick. Same thing with this here. We're going back up into the machines on the side, and this is powering the other machines over here with MJ. That's what we needed. Actually, that is not powering the machines. Let me just slap that on there. When I moved it, that was something I forgot to change. Okay, that won't drain power unless it needs to. So this is Tesseract that is providing power to the heat monitors on the wall up top there. Yeah, this is all that's in the basement. There's nothing really down here. It just looks pretty cool. Didn't want to put too many micro blocks on the floor because I like the open, empty look. And let me go ahead and take the liberty of fixing that. Okay. So here's the basement. This is basically the whole facility. What I am going to do now is I'm going to flip this on. We're going to watch it. We're going to check the mass fabricator actually, and I'll show you how fast that goes and what it uses up. So by turning that, I flip back on my reactor. It has 0 heat. It's putting out 4,360 EU per tick, and I have 5 minutes remaining on the cycle. If I look down here, I'll be able to see the mass fabricator is making UU matter at a fairly quick pace, a lot quicker than I had originally accounted for. So you can see that it's going up significantly. Now here's the test right here. You see it's stuck at 87. It's still dropping. Aside from the addition of a bunch more recyclers and a lot more overclockers, there's not a lot that you can actually do about that, but I do have it so that it's using these extremely slowly. And if you ever do shut this off just for a little while, this catches up very fast. Okay, so that answers the scrap question right there. What else do we have here? What else? Oh, the mass fab. Let's check out how fast that's creating energy. Here we go. You can see this is being injected with scrap boxes. It's making mass fab, or making mass fab. It's making UU matter pretty quickly, which is cool. So that's how fast our mass fab goes. I know you guys haven't seen that yet. We have 3 minutes on the cycle, and in those 3 minutes, I'm just going to show you how that monitor works up top there. If I drop a tesseract in an empty redstone energy cell and then I hook it up to the main reactor power, we'll see that it immediately recognizes that power is leaving the system, and we're losing 331 EU per tick, which has an effect on the UU matter production. Let's turn that off for a second, and that will go down to nothing. Let me just show you the direct effect that this has. Right now we're showing a power flow of about 4360 down into the mass fabricator. And just very simply, if I turn the tesseract back on, which I did fix fish, so you don't have to ask about that again or lose your mind over it. You know who you are. Okay, so there we go. We've lost a good portion. Okay, the thing's full. Okay, so we've lost a good portion of the power, or 300 of the power that's going down through here. Now I tried setting up about 4 quarries, and it powers 4 quarries, plus still maintains its power levels across the board. So this thing is extremely efficient, and 4 quarries will eat up a lot of EU per tick. Actually, no, that's a lie. I had about 8 of them going. Not a very quick speed, but yeah, it definitely works. Originally, I only had 2040 EU per tick going down into this thing, and I ran it a full cycle, and what I got was around 900 to 1,000 UU matter as an end result. I think it was 1,000. So it still created double the amount of UU that it actually needed to run it. Now, for those of you who may be just watching this, at the end of the series, when these power up, it's going to start sucking up a lot of energy and UU matter. Okay, we're at 1900. Still got a minute and a half remaining, so we might hit 2000. We might not. If we did, that'd be pretty epic. And it would make sense because you have double the amount of UU going through there. So it would probably generate around 2K. The addition of the extra cell also caused the additional drain on lapis and UU from there. So all the UU matter is being used to make all these components inside the Mac here. And see all UU matter recipes. There we go. And I think that is it as far as I know. We got 1 minute remaining. This should be pretty cool because this whole thing comes to life. Here we go. This is the last shot. I'll show you guys at the outside. Got some neat blocks down here. Dark gray, light gray. Very nice. Very nice. Figured out. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of this. Pretty proud of this. So, here it is. The TUTA. You can also figure that out. Some of you get it right off the bat. All right, so here we go. We got 20 seconds. 20 seconds left. Let's take a look at this thing word to life. Now, this is going to happen really fast to start. So I'm going to try to show you as best that I can. When these quad uranium cells hit 9999, this whole thing is going to go haywire. That should recharge in a second. Okay, you're going to see all of these things deteriorate into near depleted cells. There we go. And they're going to get sucked out of the system one by one. The reactor's perfectly safe without them. And they're going to get dumped into this over here, which immediately is going to take all the near depleted cells. So I got 36. Actually got about 40 or 50. Those were automatically dumped. No, they weren't automatically dumped. Hold on. There we go. Just had to fix a quick problem. Those are all being converted to depleted isotope cells, and they are being pushed into the breeder reactor. Now, this looks like there's a lot going on here, but there's really not. And we'll watch this thing complete a full cycle too. Let's see, it's going to take just a little while. Let me see if any of these are fired up. Not yet, because there's plenty in the system. Still making these. It's making more coal dust because some got stuck in here. It's about to run out. Let's check back up here. We're almost there. The middle one, this used to be a placeholder for another depleted isotope cell, but since I needed some more power, I get rid of it. Now, while we're actually looking at this, The ideal thing to do with this reactor is to preload it with more uranium before the cycle even completes. So what we're going to see here is more fun. Okay, so these are going to recharge. They're going to get sucked out, and we're going to get a new cycle started here. There we go. It happens really fast. Okay, so there we go. New cycle. Ready to go. It's going to make some more of those. What it is then going to do, it's going to start taking those cells and it's going to start crafting new uranium cells. Now, this scrap production is having an effect on how fast these are being made. All right, I tried to pause this at a spot where it was good to see what was going on, but it's really hard to see because so much is actually going on. The system is, you see, it's making copper dust. It's making more copper plate. You have a uranium cell here, which eventually is going to turn into a dual uranium cell. A couple dual cells will turn into the quad uranium cell. And basically what's going to happen is, one by one, the cells are going to get shoved inside of here. If I can see. There we go. Okay. And the reactor just goes right back on again. And if you do it this way, there is an odd benefit that you get. Because of the speed that these are being re-injected into the system, what you're going to eventually have is these ones are going to deplete faster than the ones in the bottom corner. So when like 3 or 4 or 5 cycles down the road, this is actually going to happen fairly seamlessly, if that makes sense. So this one's going to deplete way faster than the one down here, just because of the speed that this is creating new cells. And it's going to be able to craft a new cell, put it back in its place. There's another one. Put it back in its place, and have the whole thing kind of, honestly, it's kind of cool. It'll just keep recharging itself without losing a lot of EU per tick, because right now you can see down here that a lot of things have happened. We've dropped down to 780 EU per tick, which has had a huge effect on the amount of UU matter that's being produced down here with the scrap boxes. But it also has a good effect, because what's happening is it's allowing the scrap to regenerate itself. So it might turn out better than I thought. I don't know. This whole thing it's been a really cool project. Oops. So see, it's not using scrap nearly as fast because of the fact that there's not a lot of EU going into the mass fab. So it's giving itself a chance to regenerate. If I check again, I'll probably have another cell in here. Let's see. No, there'll be one in a second, and I'll see that in the monitor over here. It'll jump from 780. But that's kind of what's happening. Okay, I got a uranium cell, a dual uranium cell. One more of those, and it'll turn instantly into a quad cell, and it will get dumped into the system. So this is it. Now, right now, there's a lot of strain being put on this here. No, there's not. This is actually dead even, just about. These machines over here might be on. They shouldn't be. Oh, this one's on. It's making some more copper for whatever it needs. Okay. So the drain that these have on that system is negligible because of the cycle time between. Now, there is another way that you can have this factory recharge itself, and that's to directly inject 40 more uranium straight into the system. And by doing that, it preloads the system so that it will be ready for the new cycle. You see it kind of going here. It's making some near depleted cells. It's taking the isotope cells and hopefully should be jamming them back. Yeah, it jammed them back into there. So in reality, if you had another measly 40 more uranium ready to go, you could have this reactor up with zero downtime. It would just refill itself right from the start. And you can see this is making more near depleted cells. It's making depleted isotope cells. It's getting them ready for the breeder reactor, and so on and so forth. So this is it. This is Captain Jack's, whatever I name this thing. You saw it on the door. You saw it on the door. And this will be available for you to play with, to put a nuke in the middle of it and destroy. I'm not sure. I kept saying I might build something else on this server or on this world here, but chances are I'll be focusing more on Feed the Beast along with the other MindCrafters, as it's been a long time coming. And yeah, so that's that. This is the system. It works great. It's really cool to see. See, we lost some power in the transition. We have nothing going out right now. But this is it. Captain Jack's nuclear reactor. Thank you for everyone that's put in their input throughout the series. I appreciate it. Some of you have helped. Some of you have not helped, but most of you have helped. It's been a cool project. I'm sorry that it's over, and I'm not sure what'll be next again. But you can always follow us on Facebook, theminecrafters.com on Facebook. You can go to theminecrafters.com. There's a lot of cool stuff there. If you want this texture pack, it's Fax Pure BDcraft for Tekkit Lite. We also have downloads for Volts and the whole 9 yards, all the texture pack info there. We have an IRC chat that's live that way too many people are in all the time. But it's really cool. A lot of the people that follow us closely communicate with us directly all the time, all day long. And a lot of them have submitted the ideas to complete this nuclear reactor. And you can follow us or watch our live streams now. We're on Twitch TV, Twitch, the MindCrafters or just the MindCrafters at Twitch. We live stream. Usually try to do it every week. We load up a TeamSpeak where a few of our core devoted followers can. We've gone up to 120 EU per tick. Where our core followers join us as we do things that probably we shouldn't be doing. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this up. Again, thank you for watching. Those of you who have watched the entire series, thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. Any submissions for another Let's Build will be happily accepted. I've been playing around with fusion reactors. And I built a couple of them. They're really awesome, super expensive to build, impossible almost, but that's something that is coming in Feed the Beast. So thanks for watching, guys, and stay poised.